May the words that I speak and the thoughts and wonderings of all of our hearts draw us closer to God, who is our rock and our Redeemer. Welcome to Ordinary Time. This is what we've been waiting for. We wanted things to get back to the ordinary, and guess what, folks? It's ordinary time. That's why I have a green cloth behind me today. After getting through most of Lent in this isolation, and the season of Easter, and Pentecost, and Trinity Sunday, it's now ordinary time. And so now is the time when we get back to the everyday work of being Christians, which may feel like a difficult or challenging thing to do. Our readings today, the one I want to focus on is the Matthew reading, where first we have Jesus, who has been going throughout his own local towns and villages, teaching and preaching and healing. And he sends out his disciples by name to go and do the same work of teaching and healing. And he says that the harvest is plentiful, but the workers are few. And he tells the disciples to focus only on their own community. Well, I think that this has some real meaning for us today, especially then as it also ties in with the Romans reading, which to me is a very encouraging reading about hope, that we have hope which perseveres, despite the fact that we've all been going through a challenging time to one degree or another, and that we have a whole lot of grace from God to get us through this. That whatever challenges we are facing, Jesus came into the world before those challenges, before we had figured out our own problems and challenges, before we had looked within and overcome our internalized racism or homophobia or whatever issues that there might be that Jesus might have been working on with us. Before all that happened, Jesus lived his life of sacrificial love. Jesus stood up for the last and least and stood up for us against the greatest powers of the world. So we know who is with us and working with us. But we have a really big job ahead of us. Because yes, things are beginning to open up. And the reality is that although our experiences have been different, we've all been through a challenging time. And for some of us, just keeping going one day after the next has been all we've been able to do. And for some people, this has been a time of growth and learning. But we have also been separated from one another. And one of my fears that might have happened for people is that we have moved into our own cocoons, which we've needed to do for everyone's safety. We've connected mostly only to our own people. If you're somebody who tends to watch Fox News and read Rebel Media, you've been watching all the more Fox News and Rebel Media. And if you're somebody who reads the Huffington Post and the New Internationalist, you'd be moving more and more into that. And you haven't been sitting down for coffee with each other and balancing each other out and reminding each other to ask the hard questions and discover where the real truth lies in the middle of all the spin. And so as we come back together, although we've all experienced some things that have been the same, we've all also experienced things differently. So we need to be gentle with each other. We need to provide healing space for each other. Not the dramatic healing of demons that we tend to associate more with televangelists than anything else, perhaps, but the gentle, calm walking with each other as we begin to face the new realities. That some of us are so anxious just to return to normal, and some of us are terrified to go back out into the world. And all of these responses are real. And we need to be compassionate with each other. We need to bring about healing in our own community and for each other, because there is hurting amongst us. And we don't always know where it is. That some people have been so lonely, and some people have been so overwhelmed because they haven't been able to get away from all of the energy or excitement or anxiety or fear that being with their family has brought. But now we're beginning to reconnect. And we have work to do. The harvest is plentiful. There are a lot of people to connect with as we slowly rebuild our social networks, as we slowly get back together and have those real in-person conversations. There's a really big difference that each of us can make if we can find the ways to bring our best self forwards as we meet up again with our friends and extended family. This is the time when we as Christians are called out to do our work right here, right now, amongst the people that we know and love. Spread the good news by listening and by loving. And know that you are loved and you are supported. We are all facing a reckoning that maybe we weren't hoping to have to deal with, especially not right now, because we are dealing with what the meaning of Black Lives Matter and Black and Indigenous Lives Matter. And that's happening right now. And of course, it's Pride Month, so we are also looking at what it means to provide safe and welcoming community for people of all orientations and gender identities. And so as we begin to open up, help make yourself a safe space, a healing space. Because Jesus is sending us into our own town to do the healing work that comes after this challenging time. We've all experienced some trauma here, and working together, we can heal from it and move forward, knowing that God is with us. Thanks be to God. Amen.